Let's bring in ABC News political director Rick Klein. Rick, thanks so much for being here today.
Happy to do it. Good to be here.
And let's start with this. In the grand scheme of things, the Iowa caucus is merely hours away. Does Iowa still matter?
Iowa is about winnowing the field and providing the first semblance of order to the disorder that is campaigning up until now. No one has voted yet. So the fact that the candidates have put this much time and attention on Iowa tells you that it will matter. I think one thing to watch is the order of finish. Does Ted Cruz or Donald Trump or someone else come out on top and shock the world, as happened in 2008 and 2012 with surprise winners? Who's one, who's two, and who's three? Who among the establishment emerges? Is it Senator Rubio? Is it Governor Christie or Kasich or Bush to bring some life into their campaigns? And then who ends up dropping out? Does a Ben Carson or a Rand Paul or a Mike Huckabee or Rick Santorum say, I didn't get it done in Iowa, therefore I'm not going to go on? So it is not the final word, but it is the first and very important word in what could be a long election process.
Donald Trump, of course, has done very well in the polls. He will be the first to tell you that. Are you hearing that he's got enough of a ground game there in Iowa to actually get people out to caucus for him on Monday night?
That is the single biggest question right now surrounding the Republican race. Donald Trump, does he convert these supporters into caucus goers? It's not the same thing to say you'll vote for him in a poll or to show up at a rally as it is to show up for an hour, hour and a half on maybe a snowy evening and tell your friends and neighbors who you're there for. It's a difficult thing, and he has not invested the same kind of time and resources, attention into old-fashioned grassroots organizing that some of his rivals have. It may be that he has such support that it doesn't matter. But that is the big question. Do these folks who say they're for Trump, who showed up at rallies, do they go and caucus for him because they know that they hold the keys potentially to a Trump nomination? If he's able to deliver in Iowa, it could be that he just rolls through the other states.
If Trump doesn't win in Iowa, he finishes second or third or even farther down the list, what does that mean for his campaign going forward?
There is no one that Donald Trump himself hates more than losers. And Donald Trump losing would change the complexion of the Republican race. Whether it's Ted Cruz or someone else who beats him, it would show that he can be beaten. Our latest poll showed that 2/3 of Republicans now expect Donald Trump to be the nominee. A loss in Iowa or frankly any of the states would show that it's not inevitable, that it doesn't have to be that way. And it could give new oxygen to one of the establishment candidates to emerge as a Trump alternative. It would at the very least stretch the process out, allow for some other things to happen. And there's a lot of terrain still to be covered. So that's why Donald Trump so desperately wants to win in Iowa. He knows that if he wins there, he could become unstoppable very fast.
Let's jump across the aisle now. What would a win in Iowa mean for Senator Bernie Sanders, assuming that he also goes on to win New Hampshire and goes 1 and 2 right out of the gate? What does that mean for his campaign going forward?
Even Barack Obama didn't win Iowa and New Hampshire. He won Iowa, lost New Hampshire. If Bernie is able to put together those first 2 victories, it would show that his candidacy is for real and that we're looking at a drawn-out race for the Democratic nomination. That would shock the entire political establishment if Bernie Sanders' name is first in those first 2 states where Hillary Clinton and so many others, of course, have spent so much time and attention and tried to break through. So Bernie's got to show that he can translate that. And the flip side is that losing in Iowa would be a disappointment to him because he is so demographically suited to that state and to New Hampshire that if he's not able to win those 2 states, the question becomes where can he win down the road, where there are more minority voters, where there's more kind of traditional Democratic voters. He's got to show that he is a viable candidate before he'll get a look from many of them. So that's why these first 2 states matter. It's going to be a big indication about what the rest of the Democratic race is going to look like.
And if Hillary Clinton can't win in Iowa, what does that mean for her campaign going forward? Does she go into panic mode at all?
I would look for a freak out in Hillary Clinton's ranks and among her supporters if she is not able to beat Bernie Sanders in Iowa. They know that she's trailing in New Hampshire, which is Bernie Sanders' backyard, and they know that she needs to show and put to rest any doubts around her viability as a candidate, whether she has got the hearts as well as the heads of Democratic primary voters. It matters to break through in those states, and they don't have a cushion backing them up in New Hampshire, where she was able to bounce back in 2008 after losing to Obama in Iowa. She was able to pull it through in New Hampshire. So 2 consecutive losses would send shockwaves through the Democratic establishment up to and including Hillary Clinton's campaign.
ABC News political director Rick Klein, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you.